hour, we'll be taking you through all the top stories from India and across the world that are making headlines. We'll be talking about how the Prime Minister will be interacting with beneficiaries of Ujjwala Yojana 2.0. Besides that, all the COVID updates from not just India but across the world, flood updates from even as more and more states undergo severe rainy weather, news from Parliament and much more. But first, here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to launch Ujjwala 2.0 by handing over LPG connections at Mahoba in Uttar Pradesh via video conferencing. The second phase of the scheme aims to provide deposit-free LPG connections to low-income families who could not be covered under earlier phase. Prime Minister presides over UN Security Council open debate on maritime security, outlines 5 principles for evolving maritime cooperation framework. UN Security Council adopts presidential statement on maritime security proposed by India. US-Russia back primacy of international law. Parliament slated to discuss important bills. Lok Sabha will move 3 important bills, including Constitution 127th Amendment Bill 2021. Rajya Sabha is slated to move Insurance Business Nationalization Amendment Bill 2021. BJP issues 3-line whip to party MPs for their presence in both houses. BJP parliamentary meeting underway. Many parts of North India witnessing heavy rains and flood-like situation. Life affected badly in Uttar Pradesh due to heavy rainfall. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath conducts aerial survey of flood-affected areas, directs officials to provide all possible assistance to victims. IMD Patna issues heavy rains and thunderstorm warnings in 10 districts of Bihar in next 24 hours. Water level of Yamuna and Chambal rivers increases. UN climate panel sounds a dire warning, says greenhouse gas is already high enough to guarantee climate disruption for decades. Unless action is taken, average global temperature will likely cross 1.5 degrees Celsius, warming threshold within the next 20 years. India welcomes report, says clarion call for developed countries. Nation welcomes home Indian contingent from Tokyo Olympics, lauds many firsts at the Tokyo Games. Union Minister Anurag Thakur congratulates players for overcoming all COVID challenges, says Prime Minister's personal touch provided motivating force for all involved in India's Olympic campaign. Hello and welcome once again in our top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will launch Ujjwala 2.0, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana or PMUY, by handing over LPG connections at Mahoba in Uttar Pradesh today at 12:30 p.m. via video conferencing. During the event, the Prime Minister will interact with beneficiaries of the Yojana and also address the nation. The journey from Ujjwala 1 to Ujjwala 2. During Ujjwala 1, launched in 2016, a target was set to provide LPG connections to 5 crore women, members of BPL households. Subsequently, the scheme was expanded in April 2018 to include women beneficiaries from 7 more categories: SC, ST, PMAY, AAY, most backward classes, tea garden, forest dwellers and islands. Also, the target was revised to 8 crore LPG connections. This target was achieved in August 2019, 7 months ahead of the target date. In the Union Budget for fiscal year 21-22, provision for an additional 1 crore LPG connections under the PM Ujjwala Yojana scheme was announced. These 1 crore additional PMUY connections under Ujjwala 2 aim to provide deposit-free LPG connections to those low-income families who could not be covered under the earlier phase of the Yojana. Along with a deposit-free LPG connection, Ujjwala 2 will provide first refill and hot plate free of cost to the beneficiaries. Also, the enrollment procedure will require minimum paperwork. In Ujjwala 2, migrants will not be required to submit ration cards or address proof. A self-declaration for both family declaration and as a proof of address will suffice. Ujjwala 2 will help achieve the Prime Minister's vision of universal access to LPG. Union Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister and Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, will be present on the occasion. And joining us now is our correspondent Arun Sharma, who's covering this story. Arun joining us on the phone line right now. Arun Sharma, a very important initiative, a very important welfare program, the Ujjwala 2. Tell us more about it. As far as we understand, it is for those who could not avail of the Yojana the first time round. Besides that, a number of key elements that make it even more beneficial and easy to access.
Absolutely, Rukma. So when we talk about Ujjwala 2.0, the focus of the government has been on flexibility as far as this initiative is concerned. Now, we know this target under Ujjwala 1.0, 8 crore beneficiaries were covered under Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. 5 crore initially, and then it was expanded to 3 crore more. This is total to 8 crore beneficiaries. Now, in the union budget of 2021-2022, the allocation was made and there was a provision to provide the LPG gas connections to 1 crore beneficiaries. All those were left under the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. Now, how this Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana 2.0 is different from 1.0? The basic focus is on flexibility. That means only a self-declaration form is required to avail this the gas connection under Ujjwala Yojana. Now, this is beneficial for all those migrant laborers and, of course, for all those people who are migrating from one state to another. For example, if somebody is moving from Uttar Pradesh to Maharashtra, maybe, so it is very obvious that that person will not be having any kind of address or ID proof from Maharashtra. But now, under the Ujjwala Yojana 2.0, only a self-declaration form of 1 page is required to be filled up. And after filling that declaration form, the gas connection can be, made available to the beneficiaries. So this is the focus of the government. Now, be it Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, whereby ration or the food grains are provided to anyone or all across the country. That means the poor people all across the country. When we talk about one nation, one ration card, the focus is again on the flexibility. That means anybody who is eligible for availing the benefits for the food grains can avail in any of the states. And in that series of flexibilities in the scheme, the Ujjwala Yojana 2.0 is again going to be game changer.
The Prime Minister will also be interacting with beneficiaries in a series of interactions in this regard. Give us a sense of this addition of 7 more categories that have been added. So, how will the process of reaching out to these categories be carried out? How has it been carried out so far, and how will it be carried out from now on?
So, see, this Ujjwala Yojana 2.0 has been made much more simpler. Now, poor people in who belongs to below poverty line, economically weaker section, STs, and various other 7 categories primarily are there who can avail benefits under the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. Now, still now, there was a mandate for address proof, ID proof, where are you living, for a proof for that. But now, in this 2.0, the provision has been made that only a self-declaration form is more than enough to be filled up. So that's an important thing. Number 2, government is running various awareness campaigns in villages, in far-flung areas, in tier 2 and tier 3 towns, so that people are more aware about this Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. So awareness is another key aspect. And ease, apart from ease of living, how can, with great ease, the gas cylinders can be provided to the people. That is also the focus. And apart from the gas connection, 1 refill will also be provided by the government. 1 gas cylinder lasts for 2.5 months roughly, and 1 more refill will be provided. That means for next 5 months primarily, this Ujjwala 2.0, the government is providing a free gas connection to the beneficiaries under Ujjwala Yojana.
So not only will these LPG connections be deposit free, also the first refill will be provided, and a hot plate free of cost will be provided to the beneficiaries. So a mega scheme, greatly beneficial, and well, as the Prime Minister had said, it's part of his vision to empower women in rural areas, in particular women of BPL families in particular. Many thanks to you, Arun, for joining us there and for your inputs. Moving on now, climate change is accelerating quite fast. because we are not being able to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. According to a blistering report released by the UN, humans have heated up the planet by 1.1 degrees already, and probably we will reach 1.5 degrees within this decade. The report also found that climate change is intensifying, occurring at an accelerated pace, already affecting every region of our Earth. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called the findings a code red for humanity. He added, alarm bells are deafening and the evidence is irrefutable. Climate change is changing the Earth in ways that are unprecedented in thousands of years, and in some cases hundreds of thousands of years. The United Nations has warned about this in a report, which says that the assessment that found some changes are already playing out, such as warming oceans and rising sea levels, are irreversible for centuries to millennia. Clearly, this has been unequivocally caused by human activity. Chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Hoi Sung Lee, said greenhouse gas levels in the atmosphere are already high enough to guarantee climate disruption for decades, if not centuries.
It is indisputable that human activities are causing climate change and making extreme weather events more frequent and severe. Second, it shows that climate change is affecting every region on our planet. And lastly, it explains that strong, rapid, sustained reductions in carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions could be required to limit global warming.
The message of the IPCC report is crystal clear. We have to raise the ambition level of mitigation. The forthcoming COP26 meeting in Glasgow this November will be a critical milestone to combat climate change.
Scientists are hopeful that the UN COP26 climate conference in Glasgow in Scotland, which will take place in 3 months' time, will try to wring much more ambitious climate action out of the nations of the world and the money to go with it.
Basically, this is a strong message that we are changing the climate in an irreversible way. So basically, we are damaging the climate in such a way for the next generations that this will certainly make the socioeconomic difficulties in the future much worse than in our generation.
Drawing on more than 14,000 scientific studies, the IPCC report gives the most comprehensive and detailed picture yet of how climate change is altering the natural world and what could still be ahead. The report mentioned that the deadly heat waves, gargantuan hurricanes and other weather extremes that are already happening will only become more severe unless immediate, rapid and large-scale action is taken to reduce emissions. The report says the average global temperature is likely to reach or cross the 1.5 degrees Celsius warming threshold within 20 years. Clearly, the world is running out of time, as the report warns that even if emissions are slashed in the next decade, average temperatures could still be up 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2040 and possibly 1.6 degrees Celsius by 2060 before stabilizing. Bureau Report, DD India. India has welcomed the IPCC report on climate change. In a series of tweets, Union Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bhupinder Yadav, said India has set up the International Solar Alliance. Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure raised the domestic renewable energy target to 450 gigawatts by 2030 and is putting in place national hydrogen mission to fight climate change. The report reaffirms India's position that historical cumulative emissions are the source of the current climate crisis. Our cumulative and per capita emissions are significantly low and far less than the fair share of the global carbon budget. India, under the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has taken numerous steps to tackle the global problem of climate change and is well on the path of decoupling its emissions from economic growth. The IPCC report is proof of that. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a high-level open debate at the United Nations Security Council on enhancing maritime security, a case for international cooperation on Monday through a video link. He outlined 5 principles for inclusive maritime security framework and mentioned India's vision on the issue called Sagar, security and growth for all in the region. The UN Security Council also adopted the presidential statement on maritime security proposed by India. This is the first time an Indian Prime Minister has chaired an open debate at the Security Council in the UN after India assumed the UNSC presidency for the month of August.
समंदर हमारी साझा धरोहर है। हमारे समुद्री रास्ते इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड की लाइफलाइन है। ये समंदर हमारे प्लेनेट के भविष्य के लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। लेकिन हमारी इस साझा समुद्री धरोहर को आज कई प्रकार की चुनौतियों का सामना करना पड़ता है। पायरेसी और आतंकवाद के लिए समुद्री रास्तों का दुरुपयोग हो रहा है। अनेक देशों के बीच मैरीटाइम डिस्प्यूट्स हैं और क्लाइमेट चेंज तथा प्राकृतिक आपदाएं भी मैरीटाइम डोमेन से जुड़े विषय हैं।
A historic day for India and the United Nations Security Council. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairing an open debate titled Enhancing Maritime Security, a Case for International Cooperation after India assumed the UNSC presidency for the month of August. The first Indian Prime Minister to do so, PM Modi laid stress on coming up with ways to effectively tackle maritime crime and other security challenges apart from conserving oceanic resources and guarding them against pollution, be it plastic or oil spills. The meeting was attended by several heads of state or government, top ministers and officials, including Russian President Vladimir Putin and US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. PM used the occasion to underline the need for a global framework to conserve and utilize common maritime heritage. Removal of barriers to legitimate maritime trade based on India's vision of Sagar, security and growth for all.
भारत ने इसी खुले और इंक्लूसिव एथोस के आधार पर सागर, सिक्योरिटी एंड ग्रोथ फॉर ऑल इन द रीजन का विजन परिभाषित किया है।
Peaceful resolution of maritime disputes based on international laws, collectively combat all maritime threats posed by non-state actors and environmental disasters.
साइक्लोन, सुनामी और प्रदूषण संबंधित समुद्री आपदाओं में हम फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्डर रहे हैं। हिंद महासागर में भारत की भूमिका एक नेट सिक्योरिटी प्रोवाइडर के रूप में रही है। हमें ओशन साइंस में भी सहयोग बढ़ाना चाहिए। भारत ने एक महत्वाकांक्षी डीप ओशन मिशन लॉन्च किया है।
Need to conserve maritime resources and environment. Need to encourage responsible maritime connectivity. Russian President Vladimir Putin suggested setting up a special structure under the UN system to directly deal with the issue of fighting maritime crime in different regions.
Russia also wants to build productive cooperation with the Indian Ocean Rim Association and the Indian Ocean Commission. Undoubtedly, we aim to help ensure security in the area of the Persian Gulf. We should think about establishing a special structure within the UN system that would directly deal with the issue of fighting maritime crime in various regions. This structure should be based on the support of the UN member states and actively engage experts, representatives of civil society, academia, and private sector.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken emphasized the need for all member states to adhere to international treaties and abide by the verdicts of international tribunals in case of maritime disputes. He specifically mentioned the territorial disputes related to the South China Sea.
When nations ignore or purport to redraw the borders of other nations, whether by land or by sea, they undermine the sovereign equality of member states, a guiding principle of the United Nations. Non-state actors also pose serious risk to maritime safety and security. Yet, our collective response to these actors shows how effective we can be when we work together to defend maritime order and hold those accountable who violate it.
Clearly, maritime security has its challenges. It is all the more important for India and like-minded countries to come together and safeguard everyone's rights and resources. 75% of world's maritime trade passes through the Indian Ocean, including 50% of daily global oil supply. India has large stake in ensuring maritime security and put the issue at center stage in the world's top global security body. Bureau Report, DD India.
And a CRPF party has been attacked by suspected terrorists this morning in Nagar Kral Chek area of Zainapura hamlet in South Kashmir's Shopian district. The terrorists fired upon the CRPF party, in which one CRPF man was injured. He has been shifted to a nearby hospital for treatment. Meanwhile, the entire area has been cordoned off to nab the terrorists. And today is the second day of the last week of the monsoon session in Parliament. Lok Sabha is scheduled to discuss the COVID situation under Rule 193, while various important bills will be moved for consideration and passage. The Constitution's 127th Amendment Bill 2021 will be moved by Union Minister Virendra Kumar. Union Minister Sarbananda Sonowal will move the National Commission for Homeopathy Amendment Bill 2021 in the lower house. He will also move the National Commission for Indian System of Medicine Amendment Bill 2021 for consideration and passage. In the Rajya Sabha, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will move the General Insurance Business Nationalization Amendment Bill 2021 for consideration and passage. Appropriation Bill number 4 for 2021 and the Appropriation number 3 Bill 2021 will also be moved for consideration and return. Meanwhile, the BJP has issued a whip to its party MPs in the Rajya Sabha, asking them to be present in the upper house today and tomorrow. The party has also issued a whip to its MPs in the Lok Sabha, asking them to be present in the House today. Some very important business will be taken up for discussion and passage. The Constitution's 127th Amendment Bill 2021, which was tabled on Monday in the Rajya Sabha in the ongoing monsoon session of Parliament, needs to be passed in order to restore the power that allowed states and union territories to make their own OBC lists. And BJP Parliamentary Party meeting is currently underway. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, BJP National President JP Nadda, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and all senior leaders and members of Parliament are participating in the meet, which is taking place at Parliament Annex C. The future programs of the party will be discussed in the BJP's parliamentary meeting, along with the work done during the current session and the strategy ahead. The union government is committed to accelerating the pace and expanding the scope of COVID-19 vaccination throughout the country. More than 52 crore 56 lakh vaccine doses have been provided to states and union territories so far, and a further 48 lakh 43,100 doses are in the pipeline. Of this, the total consumption, including wastage, is 51 crore 9 lakh 58,562. More than 2 crore 7 lakh balance and unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with states and union territories and private hospitals to be administered. And in a major relief as far as the COVID situation is concerned, we reported 28,204 new cases in the past 24 hours, which is the lowest in 147 days. Our active caseload currently stands at 3,88,508, which is the lowest in 139 days. With this, active cases now constitute 1.21% of total cases, the lowest since March 2020. In good news, highest ever recovery rate has been achieved, which currently stands at 97.45%. Over 3 crore 11 lakh recoveries have been made so far across India, of which 41,511 patients recovered in the last 24 hours. 51 crore 45 lakh vaccine doses have also been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The weekly positivity rate remains below 5% and currently stands at 2.36%. Daily positivity rate currently stands at 1.87%, which is less than 3% for 15 days. Also, testing capacity has been substantially ramped up with 48 crore 32 lakh tests conducted so far. The National Telemedicine Service of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has completed 90 lakh teleconsultations in the country. The last 10 lakh consultations came up in a record 17 days. The Government of India's e-Sanjeevani initiative has gained popularity amongst doctors and patients across India. New users are continuously adopting telemedicine as e-Sanjeevani has proved to be a feasible, easy to use, practical means of seeking health services remotely. This is evident from the fact that in the past 1 month itself, e-Sanjeevani network's utilization has gone up by a factor of around 1.5 times. E-Sanjeevani platform has been consistently getting diffused in the ecosystem and is currently serving 70,000 patients on a daily basis. E-Sanjeevani OPD is hosting over 430 online OPDs, nearly 400 of which are specialty and super specialty online OPDs. Over 60,000 doctors and health workers across India have been trained for e-Sanjeevani. In a landmark initiative to ensure safety from COVID-19, the Health Ministry has taken a decision to allow foreign nationals residing in India to register on the CoWIN portal to take the COVID-19 vaccine. They can use their passport as an identity document for the purpose of registration on the CoWIN portal. Once they are registered on the portal, they will get a slot for vaccination. A significant number of foreign nationals are living in India, especially in large metropolitan areas, where the potential of the spread of COVID is high due to higher population density. To counter any possibility of such an occurrence, it is important to vaccinate all those who are eligible. This initiative will ensure the safety of foreign nationals residing here and also bring down the possibility of further transfer of infection from those who are unvaccinated. It will also ensure overall safety from further transmission of COVID virus. And flood-related updates from states now. Relief work is currently on in full swing in the flood-affected areas of Madhya Pradesh. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh reviewed the flood situation and relief and rescue operations in the districts of Gwalior, Chambal division through video conferencing. He gave directions to officials regarding the assistance to the flood-affected people. In Bihar, the flood situation turned grim in the Gangetic Basin. Surging waters of the Ganga are fast engulfing low-lying areas such as Patna, Buxar, Munger and Bhagalpur. Those living in low-lying areas are migrating to safer places. The water levels of the Ganga are above the danger mark and maintaining a rising trend all along the course from Buxar to Patna. All gates of Farakka barrage have been opened in view of increasing water levels of the Ganga. The Met Department has warned of heavy to moderate rainfall in the next 48 hours in most parts of the state. The Patna District Administration has instructed officials to remain on alert. Deputy Chief Minister Renu Devi said NDRF and SDRF teams are carrying out relief and rescue operations in flood-affected areas of the state. And heavy rain and thunderstorm warnings have been issued in 10 districts of Bihar in the next 24 hours. The Meteorological Center in Patna has issued an alert for East and West Champaran, Jahanabad, Aurangabad, Gaya, Sitamarhi, Kishanganj, Bhabua, Rohtas, Araria for the next 24 hours. In the last 24 hours, Rajpur received 110 millimeters of rain, Mohania and Shripalpur 80 millimeters. Due to the active rain system in the state, light to moderate rain is expected in most parts till the 13th of August. The monsoon trough is currently passing through Dehri. And again, in many parts of Uttar Pradesh, life has been badly affected due to the flood situation caused by heavy rainfall. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath conducted an aerial survey of the flood-affected areas on the banks of the river Yamuna in Auraiya. The Chief Minister distributed relief materials to the flood-affected victims and held a meeting with public representatives and officials, instructing them to increase relief work. The Chief Minister directed the provision of government accommodation in case of house collapse due to floods and has asked all ministers of the state to migrate to areas that have been affected by flood waters. And today is World Lion Day. The aim is to raise awareness and gather support for the declining population and conservation of the big cats. The Asiatic lion is one of the 5 big cats that are found here. The other 4 are the Royal Bengal tiger, the Indian leopard, the clouded leopard and the snow leopard. Tweeting on Lion Day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, "The lion is majestic and courageous. India is proud to be home to the Asiatic lion. On World Lion Day, I convey my greetings to all those passionate about lion conservation. It would make you happy that the last few years have seen a steady increase in India's lion population. When I was serving as the Chief Minister of Gujarat, I had the opportunity to work towards ensuring safe and secure habitats for the Gir lions. A number of initiatives were taken which involve local communities and global best practices to ensure the habitats are safe and tourism also gets a boost." And here on News on the Hour, we slip into a very short break. But there's more on the other side, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in all Southeast Asian countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now. With the world's largest COVID vaccination drive, India is leading the way. As the vaccine reaches every corner of the nation, do not forget the mantra, Dawai bhi, Kadai bhi. Let's continue our fight against COVID-19. Vaccination along with social distancing, sanitization and masks.
Mask up, India!
Put your mask on and cover your nose and be safe.
Mask up, India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching News on the Hour, and let's now take a look at COVID-19 numbers from across the globe. The battle against COVID-19 continues, with more than 20 crore 41 lakh people having been infected so far, while over 18 crore 33 lakh patients have recovered from COVID. The deadly virus has claimed the lives of over 43,16,000 people. The United States is and continues to be one of the worst affected countries, with more than 3,67 lakh infections and deaths due to COVID in the country having surpassed 6,33,000. And coronavirus cases and hospitalizations in the United States are at a 6-month high, fueled by the rapid spread of the Delta variant across swathes of the country, grappling with low vaccination rates. What is further alarming is that the number of children and adolescents hospitalized with COVID-19 are also rising across the country, along with the total numbers. Pediatricians say that the Delta variant now comprises well over 90% of cases in the US in children and adolescents, more so because children under 12 years of age do not have access to the vaccine yet. The trend in the US is also a warning for the world, as a trend health experts attribute to the Delta variant being more likely to infect children than the original Alpha strain. And with schools opening, physicians have additional concerns. Nationwide, COVID-19 cases of all patients have averaged 1 lakh for 3 days in a row, up 35% over the past week. The surge of the disease was strongest in Louisiana, Florida, and Arkansas. Meanwhile, long delays were reported at the Canadian-US border on Monday as Ottawa finally opened its doors to those fully vaccinated American tourists for the first time in 16 months. The move caused a rush of tourists to travel north during the busy summer season. Canada barred all leisure travel from the United States in March 2020 due to the COVID pandemic. Further, international travelers who are fully vaccinated will be allowed to enter in early September. Prior to the pandemic, tourism was the 5th largest industry in Canada, contributing $83.4 billion to the GDP and providing 1 in 10 jobs. Let's go across live to a press conference by the Athletics Federation of India, which is organizing the press conference in honor of our returning champions, Neeraj Chopra, Avinash Sable, and Asian record holder men's 4x400 meter relay team.
India, we will conduct competition also on 7th of August every year, but it will take some more time because most of the districts may not have the javelin. So we will procure the javelin for them, and in the future we will conduct this competition throughout the country on 7th of August when Neeraj won the gold medal. With these words, I will now take the opportunity to request, first I will start with the Kamalpreet. She will speak and at the end Neeraj will speak.
कमल 1 मिनट के लिए सभी को हम थोड़ा सा कमल की परफॉर्मेंस का एक ग्लांस दिखाना चाहते हैं. नितिन, कैन यू प्रोवाइड द एवी? कमल, 2 शब्द आपकी तरफ से भी सुनना चाहेंगे सब लोग.
थैंक यू सर. मैं बहुत बहुत थैंक यू करती हूँ सब मीडिया वाला का फेडरेशन का, मेरे कोच का और साई का, जिन्होंने मेरे इतनी सपोर्ट करी और मैं फर्स्ट कंपटीशन में इतना अच्छा परफॉर्म कर सकी। हालांकि मैं मेडल की उम्मीद से गई थी, लेकिन कुछ कारण, कुछ वेदर कंडीशन, कुछ इंटरनेशनल कंपटीशन ना खेलने की वजह से मेडल नहीं आ सका। लेकिन मैं उम्मीद करती हूँ आने वाले कुछ टाइम में वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप, एशियन गेम्स और कॉमनवेल्थ, और जो कि ओलंपिक में आ रहा है जिसमें कुछ ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं बचा, जिसमें मेडल लेके आऊँगी और अच्छे आगे और कमाल करूँगी। थैंक यू एवरीवन।
थैंक यू कमल।
We welcome her coach also. She is here, Rakhi Tyagi. So we welcome her also for her contribution.
Over to Avinash, sir. First, Avinash will speak. Sablesh is there. So here's the mic.
सबसे पहले मैं एथलेटिक्स फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडिया का धन्यवाद बोलना चाहता हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे बहुत सपोर्ट किया। साथ में ही मुझे हर समय भुवनेश्वर सर ने मुझे बहुत सपोर्ट किया, क्योंकि मैं कोविड से मुझे 2 बार कोविड हुआ, फिर भी मेरे लिए बेंगलोर वगैरह में ट्रेनिंग पार्टनर वगैरह दिए और मैं अपना मतलब जो सोचा था वो परफॉर्मेंस तो नहीं कर पाया, लेकिन मैंने फिर भी कोशिश की है। मुझे साथ में ही आर्मी ने बहुत सपोर्ट किया है, आर्मी स्पोर्ट्स इंस्टीट्यूट ने। बस मैं इस ओलंपिक्स में अपना बेहतर परफॉर्मेंस नहीं कर पाया, लेकिन अगला ओलंपिक्स ज़्यादा दूर नहीं है और मैं अगले ओलंपिक्स के लिए बहुत अच्छे से तैयारी करूँगा और अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस करूँगा। अभी हमारे मतलब ये था आज तक कि ये हर कोई बोलता था, यार तुम ऐसा गेम करो जिसमें कभी मेडल ही नहीं आया और कोई चांसेस नहीं है, लेकिन जो आज एथलेटिक्स में मेडल आया है, इससे मतलब एक पूरा देश का ये चेंज हो जाएगा कि हाँ एथलेटिक्स में भी मेडल आते हैं और अगले ओलंपिक्स में इससे भी बेस्ट परफॉर्मेंस आएगी एथलेटिक्स की और हर एक मेहनत करेगा कि नहीं हाँ एथलेटिक्स से भी उम्मीदें हैं और बहुत अच्छा करेंगे। थैंक यू।
Thank you, Avinash, for creating new national record. Let's have a glance of our relay team, which created Asian record. Please play the AV.
Made a big improvement chance there on the inside. Columbia has never medaled in the event. They go. Laps around. The circle is the longest, and don't be fooled by that. Put the stick out first and assert themselves. Trying to come up onto the shoulder of the Indians, running wide now in lane 3 as Poland begin to pull away. This is good running. They've got such experience when it comes to the 4x4. Poland from Belgium, France, and the It's got an awful lot to do. I wonder if they will regret silver medals both in the most recent Olympics and World Championships. Japan starting to fade now here. And the race is on for third as Jamaica holds it. But coming strong, the French still very much in it. And the Indians coming through. Ahmad Jacob, can he run them into the final for the first time? It's not going to be that way. Poland easily. Jamaica finishes. And then you see Bori cross the line and he grabs the next spot. The Dutch, but an area record for the Indians, an Asian record, an absolutely brilliant performance for them.
Now we have short videos of Neeraj's performance. Please play the AV.
स्वागत करता हूं हमारे दोस्त और सीनियर जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी एथलेटिक्स फेडरेशन के संदीप मेहता जी, जो पीछे छुप के जरा बैठे हुए हैं। इसके अलावा हमारे यूनिवर्सिटी दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी के रजिस्ट्रार जी डॉक्टर विकास गुप्ता जी और डॉक्टर चोपड़ा, जो सिर्फ चोपड़ा जी से ही मिलने आए हैं, उनका भी धन्यवाद करता हूं। थैंक यू वेरी मच। नाउ ओवर टू
नीरज, अब आपका समय है बोलने का।
सबसे पहले सभी को नमस्ते और आप सभी मीडिया वालों को भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आप सभी आए। और मैं थैंक यू करता हूँ एथलेटिक्स फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडिया, साई टॉप्स, इंडियन आर्मी और मेरे स्पॉन्सर JW स्पोर्ट्स का, जिन्होंने हमेशा मेरा साथ दिया और आप सभी की सपोर्ट से ही मैं वहाँ तक पहुँचा हूँ। और मुझे लगता है कि जो सबसे मुश्किल टाइम आया था बीच में, कोरोना के टाइम, उस टाइम जो हमारी फेडरेशन ने हमारा कैंप कंटिन्यू रखा। और मैं थैंक यू करता हूँ NIS के स्टाफ का भी कि उन्होंने भी हमारा हर टाइम पे सहयोग किया। और उसकी वजह से मतलब हमें कभी भी ऐसे फील नहीं हुआ कि कोरोना की वजह से हमको कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ रही है। हमारा खाना, हमारे डाइट और जो भी रिकवरी का NIS में सब कुछ खुला रहा और बहुत ही अच्छे तरीके से वहाँ पे उन्होंने मेंटेन किया। तो वही इसी का कारण है कि हमारी परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी आई। और मुझे लगता है कि जो अभी बाद में कंपटीशन हुए थे हमारी ग्रैंड प्रिक्स, मैं तो नहीं खेला लेकिन हमारे कई एथलीट्स जो क्वालिफाई नहीं थे, तो वो एक ऐसे मुश्किल टाइम पे जो एक फेडरेशन ने जो कंपटीशन करवाया था वो बहुत ही जरूरी था। उसकी वजह से हमारे काफ़ी एथलीट्स ने क्वालिफाई किया और वहाँ पे अपनी बेस्ट परफॉर्मेंस दे सके। तो थैंक यू सो मच।
नीरज, अगर एक बार मेडल निकाल के हम सब खड़े हो जाएं और आप मेडल निकाल लें तो एक बहुत अच्छा पिक्चर बन जाएगा हमारी एथलेटिक्स फैमिली का। Now I hand over the floor to Mr. Radha Ramanji for question and answer session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ravindra Chaudhary, Secretary of the Athletics Federation, and it's a great honor for me to be standing here. Neeraj, thank you very much. We will take one question at a time from the print media to begin with, because I think television, there's a separate arrangement for them, too far for them to be getting anything out of this. So can we have questions? Please raise your hand and I will come to you. Right there at the back, the first hand that went up is there. Is that Deepak Singh from PTI? Deepak, you please identify the person you want a question to so that we can pass the mic to them. Deepak, wait, we can't hear you.
Hello? 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 हेलो मेरा सवाल नीरज, मैं दीपक बोल रहा हूँ, प्रेस सर्विस इंडिया। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कांग्रेचुलेशन। मैं थोड़ा सा आपको 2015-16 के बारे में पूछना चाहता हूँ। आपको नेशनल गेम्स में 2015 में 5th पोजीशन आया था, देन उसके बाद आपको नेशनल गेम में ला गया था। देन एट द एंड ऑफ दैट ईयर itself आप 80 crores हुआ है। देन आप साउथ एशियन गेम्स में 82 फेंका, एंड देन जुलाई में वर्ल्ड चैंपियनशिप जूनियर में आप 86 पहुँच गए। तो इसी बीच का टाइम में आपने ये परफॉर्मेंस कैसे इम्प्रूव किया, आप इसी समय का थोड़ा बता दें।
सबसे पहले तो मैं बताता हूँ कि जो नेशनल गेम के बाद जो मुझे नेशनल कैंप में लिया गया, तो वो मेरे लिए एक बहुत ही मेरी लाइफ का एकदम चेंज था स्पोर्ट्स कैरियर में, क्योंकि उससे पहले हम खुद खाना बनाते थे और हमारे पास जल भी थोड़े इतने ऊपर क्वालिटी के नहीं थे, तो हम ट्रेनिंग अच्छे से करते हैं, लेकिन जो एक फैसिलिटी होती है वो मुझे नेशनल कैंप में आने के बाद ही मिली, एक जो एथलीट की डाइट होती है। और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि वहाँ पे जो मेरे सभी सीनियर एथलीट्स हैं उनको देख के एक जो मोटिवेशन मिलता था और एक फीलिंग थी वहाँ पे जाके कि मैं अब अपने इंडिया के सबसे बेस्ट एथलीट्स के बीच में ट्रेनिंग कर रहा हूँ, वो एक बहुत ही अलग फीलिंग थी। उसके बाद ही जो एक ट्रेनिंग का और जो स्पोर्ट्स का एक अलग से मेरे अंदर जज्बा आया, वो बिल्कुल अलग था। तो बस सभी मेरे को फैसिलिटी मिल गई थी, बस मुझे फिर अपना हार्ड वर्क करना था और मैंने वो किया और उसके बाद रिजल्ट ऊपर वाले ने अपने आप दे दिए।
थैंक यू नीरज, थैंक यू दीपक।
Welcome back. That was a live telecast of the felicitation ceremony that the Athletics Federation is hosting for our victorious athletes. The man of the hour, Neeraj Chopra himself, India's first gold medalist, speaking there to the press, answering questions, recounting and retelling his stories, the story of his journey so far, and the struggles he had to overcome, what it was like training for the Olympics and for the other major sporting events that took him this far. Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Meanwhile, the battle against COVID-19 continues. So stay home as much as possible, stay safe, wear a mask and maintain COVID appropriate behavior. Most important of all, get yourself vaccinated as soon as possible. Namaskar.